The next challenge is to get these doors to open from the outside. Otherwise, we're gonna have to live in the car. The inside 49 Chev door handles open the Cadillac mechanism. Works really good. I've got the lock set, locks, unlocks. Just looks like original 49 Chev, but it goes down to the Cadillac mechanism. The electric lock, of course, will lock with the button, you know, lock, unlock, typical. Then one more problem is, how do you open it from the outside? There's no way to put the Cadillac handles, they would be ugly anyway, they just wouldn't match this car. And really no way to put the 49 Chev handles and make them work. Where I mounted these solenoids inside, down at the bottom at the back, and ran the rod up to open the Cadillac mechanism. So basically it replaces that handle that would be normally on the outside of the door. So then the trick is to run that solenoid from outside the car. And what guys have done in the olden days is put a button, usually under a fender or something like that, where you just touch the button and the door opens. I can do that. In fact, I will do that in case my newfangled system doesn't work at some point, dead battery or something like that. So I bought this little apparatus here, a little relay switch that should trigger the solenoid. It has two outputs, okay, so that'll be for the driver's door and one for the passenger's door. And it has two key fobs, and they both have A and B. So A will be the driver's door, B will be the passenger door. My wife will have one, I'll have one. And we basically run some power to this little box. According to the instructions, which are in sort of translated Chinese, but I think I can understand it. No, you can't actually understand the words, but maybe the picture. So basically you've got a 12-volt input, which is pretty simple, which is going to be on all the time. So you need to have that like hot. It can't go through the ignition key or anything. And then the outputs, there's two little relays on here, which will be one for each door. And I think they should be heavy enough. They look tiny, but they say they're 10 amps. So the relay uses probably about 5 amps, and it's very intermittent, right? It's just talk and it's done. So that should work. There's power at the cigarette lighters all the time, which makes sense, right? They're always live. And so I'm going to run the door openers off of that, plus the USB chargers. And hopefully we've got a convenient, practical solution. So let's wire this up temporarily, find a good spot, test it out, make sure that the fob will open the relay, and then we'll mount it and wire it in permanently. I scabbed some wires together and hooked it to the battery. There's a little bit of spark, so there's power going somewhere. There's no fuse in here yet, so I've got all of the hot wires taped up so I don't hit anything and wreck anything. Now let's just see what we've got for a response. Here's A. Ta-da! Look at that, eh? There's B. Yep. We can just check it with the A door. It's the alpha and the beta. My wife's going to be like, I'm the beta? No. Yeah, because I'm the alpha. Nice mechanism on here. This is the inside door handle. Pull it and the door opens. Closes so nice. Oh man, that's such an excellent job, if I do say so myself. Okay, so here is the remote. See if it opens the door. Could you see the door? There it is. There it is, popped it open. Is that going to work if I bury the relay thing, the receiver, somewhere deep under the dash? But, you know, from out here, let's see. Yeah, no problem. So 433 megahertz goes right through everything I need it to go through. Let's try it outside. Go outside, push the button. We'll come back in and see if the door's open. We won't be out here for long though, because that's still minus 20. What a place to live. Okay, here we go. We'll go see if the door is open. Sure enough, it opened. On the onset, maybe this is confusing. You've got a key fob. Typically that would unlock the doors. This one will open the door. And so there's actually going to have to be two key fobs. The Cadillac key fob, which will unlock the door, and then this generic one, which will open the doors. And this Cadillac is still set up so that there is an ignition key that goes in the steering column and you turn it on. It's not one of them ones that you just put the key fob in the car and push a button. Yeah, old school with some new school stuff stuck to it. Well, for sure you can't say that all of the old junk you keep, that you use at some point, but the old lock-unlock solenoids that I kept out of those square body Suburbans that I had for a donor truck for my 42 Chev a couple of times, and for my 55 Dodge. Yeah, I just got a pile of them hanging on the rafter up here and pulled them down, and sure enough, they're actually quite strong. So you could do some cool stuff with them. And now I know where to get a remote that will trigger them. I'll mount the thing properly, wrap up the wiring. I'll also do a couple other jobs, put in a cigarette lighter receptacle. No, you know what? I might put one of those in, but I've also got some USB charging ports that I'm going to install as well. And probably the trunk button. I want to put that in the console. So I'll put all of those things in that middle console, wire that in, and then I can close that up. few wires, soldering a few joints, and we have the power door openers installed. So I've run wires from the solenoid in each door into the center of the car here underneath the console, and I've got the receiver here for the remotes, and then I've wired the power from the cigarette lighter. Installed 2 USB chargers, right? One here and one in the console that's going to be in the little cubby hole. Just drilled a hole in the back of this console. There's a cigarette lighter already there that faces the back seat and ashtray. And so this console has a double opener. It's got this door here. Whoops, there goes my pen for writing stuff. And then it's got inside there. So I put that USB charger right in there. That way you can charge your phone or whatever in the little cubby hole. Also added another relay here that will trigger the driver's door in the case of you lose the key fobs or it quits working or whatever. Then I can actually trigger it from somewhere out in front of the car. I'm not sure where yet. We'll have to find a place. I've ordered a couple of, well, I just need one little push button momentary switch. These wires here will be somewhere concealed inside the grill, I guess, and we'll put the little button there so we know where it is, and you can just stick your hand in there and give it a click, and the driver's door will open. Another thing I'm going to do is wire in a couple of charging posts, probably down on the front splash pan, because with everything electric, the door openers electric, the trunk, everything is electric, locks. There's no way to physically or mechanically get into the car if the battery was dead. So we'll have those charging posts there so that you can either put some power to it and open the doors or charge the battery, or handy for boosting as well. You don't have to run the cables under the hood. I wish I had that in all my vehicles. Man, I tell you what, I want to get to the paint on this car, the bodywork, but the problem is that every time you look at something, there's something else that hasn't been done. And I'm thinking there's actually a fair amount of wiring that I've got to do. So am I going to paint it and then wire in courtesy lights and all that kind of stuff? Or should I have all of that done ahead of time and then, you know, just kind of lay it all aside, which I've done with a lot of this stuff. And then once it's painted, I won't be having to like drill holes and fabricate pieces of steel and all that kind of stuff. So I need to do the inner door panels as well. And one more, well, probably 2 more things. You'll notice it's no longer minus 20 out here. Spring has sprung. I guess that means I've been working on this episode for an awful long time. But the one more thing I wanted to mention was that when we run into a problem, like how am I going to open these doors, it often opens the way to a solution that's something bigger and better, to something new. I never had any inkling to do shaved handles, although they're kind of cool, right? And they're not a difficult thing by any means. You can buy the kits, I think, for, what is it, about $300 Canadian for a 2-door kit. But I didn't have to buy one because I have these old solenoids there. I just had to buy the controller, which was about $32 Canadian on Amazon. So yeah, like I said, I wouldn't have bothered with this shaved doors, except that it was the way to go, right? Solved a big problem. And it actually turns out to be kind of an extra blessing, right? So I'm gonna kind of enjoy that, you know, it's fun. Have the remote fob and whoop, and the doors will open. And just one more feature for my hot rod. So the next time you run into a problem, think of, I wonder what feature this is opening the door to. Something good's gonna come out of it. Always does. If we keep our attitude right, keep our head up, keep moving forward. And so I want to encourage you to get out there, or wherever it is in the basement, I don't know, work on your project, even if it's for a few minutes, because moving it ahead a little bit will eventually move it ahead a lot. And I can't wait to be driving this car. How about you?